He stole her inheritance, but years later she became rich, and he returned begging for forgiveness. Dear viewers, welcome to our channel. Subscribe to receive more stories every day. The Davenport estate stood as a monument to old money and generations of careful stewardship. Emma Davenport had grown up within its walls, her childhood steeped in the charm of its sprawling gardens and sunlit corridors. It wasn't just a house. It was her anchor to a family legacy built with love and dedication. But as Emma stared out at the autumn leaves blanketing the ground, she felt the walls of her sanctuary closing in. Her husband, Mark, paced behind her in the study, his voice smooth but insistent. "Emma, this is the only way forward. The estate is draining our resources. If we sell now, we can invest in something more practical. Something for our future." Mark had always been persuasive, with his easy charm and polished arguments. Emma had fallen for him precisely because of his ability to make her believe in a shared dream. But now, as he laid out his case, something gnawed at her, a whisper of doubt that refused to be silenced. "I don't know, Mark," Emma said, her voice tentative. "This estate was my parents' life's work. It's not just about money. It's about preserving their legacy." Mark sighed, his exasperation barely masked. "And what good is a legacy if it bankrupts us? Be realistic, Emma. Do you want to hold on to this crumbling old house? Or do you want to build a future for us? Maybe even for a family someday?" The mention of a family made her pause. For all her reservations, Emma wanted to believe that Mark had her best interests at heart. He had always framed his arguments as acts of love, convincing her that every decision was for their shared benefit. Still, the weight of her parents' warnings lingered in her mind. "Be careful who you trust with the keys to your inheritance." "Let me think about it," she said finally, her voice soft but strained. Mark placed a hand on her shoulder, his expression gentle. "I'm not asking you to decide this alone. We're a team, Emma. Trust me." Over the following days, Mark's pressure mounted. He presented financial reports, projected expenses, and investment opportunities, painting a bleak picture of their finances. Emma, overwhelmed and unsure of her own ability to manage the estate, finally relented. With trembling hands, she signed the documents he placed before her, transferring the estate and its assets to a holding company he had established. Emma didn't realize the betrayal until it was too late. Within weeks, Mark revealed his true intentions. He wasn't preserving their future. He was siphoning off her inheritance to fund his own ambitions. Worse, he had been seeing another woman, a wealthy socialite named Caroline, whose family connections promised Mark an even brighter horizon. "You don't understand," Mark said when Emma confronted him, her voice trembling with rage and disbelief. "I've been carrying you and this estate for years. It's time I thought about myself." "You carried me." Emma's voice cracked. "Everything I have, everything we had, came from my family. And you destroyed it for what? For her." Mark's eyes flashed with impatience. "Don't be so dramatic. You'll be fine. You always land on your feet. But I can't stay tied down to a sinking ship." Emma's world shattered as Mark packed his belongings and left. The man she had trusted with her heart, and her family's legacy, walked out without a backward glance. She was left with nothing but the clothes on her back and a bank account drained of everything she had once believed secure. The months that followed were a test of Emma's resilience. Moving into a modest studio apartment in the city, she took up odd jobs to make ends meet. Cleaning offices in the early mornings, waitressing at night. She worked tirelessly, too exhausted to grieve the life she had lost. Yet, in the quiet hours of the night, the weight of Mark's betrayal pressed down on her, suffocating and relentless. One day, while sifting through a box of belongings she had managed to salvage from the estate, Emma stumbled across an old leather-bound sketchbook. Flipping through its pages, she found intricate designs she had drawn as a teenager. Delicate necklaces, bracelets, and earrings inspired by her mother's jewelry collection. A memory surfaced. Her mother, sitting by the fire, wearing a diamond pendant that seemed to catch the light in ways Emma had tried to replicate in her sketches. An idea began to take shape. With what little money she had left, Emma purchased a few basic tools and materials, determined to craft a single piece of jewelry. It wasn't much, a simple silver necklace with a small cubic zirconia pendant, but when she finished, she felt a spark of pride she hadn't felt in months. She posted the necklace online, setting up a shop on a popular handmade marketplace. At first, sales trickled in slowly, but Emma threw herself into every aspect of the business. She designed, crafted, and photographed each piece herself, pouring all her energy into rebuilding her life one necklace at a time. Her breakthrough came when a local boutique owner discovered her shop and placed a bulk order for a new collection. Word spread, and soon Emma's pieces began appearing in small stores across the city. She reinvested every penny into her business, teaching herself marketing, branding, and social media management. 3 years after Mark had walked out of her life, Emma stood in her new workshop, a sleek, minimalist space in the heart of downtown. Her brand, Eve Davenport, had grown into a name synonymous with elegance and craftsmanship. Celebrities wore her pieces on red carpets, and her jewelry had been featured in multiple high-profile fashion magazines. But Emma's success was more than financial. It was a reclamation of her identity, a testament to her ability to rise from the ashes of betrayal and build something entirely her own. She had proven to herself and to the world that she was not defined by what had been taken from her, but by what she had created. Her assistant, Julia, walked in with a hesitant expression. "Emma, there's someone here asking to see you." "He doesn't have an appointment, but—" "It's Mark." Emma froze, the name hitting her like a jolt of electricity. She hadn't seen or heard from Mark since the day he had left her, and now, years later, he had reappeared. Her mind raced with questions, but one emotion stood out above all others: resolve. "Send him in," Emma said, her voice steady. As she prepared herself for the encounter, Emma knew one thing for certain: she was no longer the woman Mark had left behind. Mark entered the office with a hesitant stride, his polished demeanor tarnished by an air of desperation. He had aged noticeably since Emma last saw him. His tailored suit no longer carried the confidence of a man in control, and there was something hollow in his eyes that hadn't been there before. "Emma," he said, his voice soft, almost reverent. "It's been a long time." Emma sat behind her sleek glass desk, every inch the accomplished businesswoman. She didn't rise to greet him but gestured for him to sit. "Mark," she said evenly, "what brings you here?" He lowered himself into the chair, fumbling with the briefcase he carried. For a moment, he seemed unsure of where to start. Finally he sighed. "I've kept up with you over the years. Your success, it's incredible. I always knew you had it in you." Emma's lips curled into a wry smile. "Is that so? I seem to recall you saying I'd never survive without you." Mark winced at the sharpness of her words. "Emma, I came here to apologize. I've been carrying the weight of what I did to you for years. I was selfish, arrogant. And I made the worst mistake of my life when I walked away." Her expression remained unreadable. "And what exactly do you want from me now, Mark?" He hesitated, his composure faltering. "I'm not going to lie to you. Things haven't been easy for me. The investments I made, they didn't pan out. And Caroline, she left me when the money dried up. I lost everything, Emma. I'm at rock bottom, and I've been thinking a lot about the people I hurt to get where I am. You were the best thing in my life, and I threw it away." Emma leaned back in her chair, crossing her arms. She had spent countless nights imagining this moment, wondering what she would say if Mark ever showed up again. But now that he was here, groveling before her, she felt nothing but a cool detachment. "I appreciate the apology," she said finally. "But you didn't come here just to clear your conscience, did you?" Mark swallowed hard, his discomfort evident. "No," he admitted. "I came because I need your help. I have a business proposal, an idea that could get me back on my feet. I just need a partner, someone with the resources and connections to make it happen." Emma raised an eyebrow. "And you thought I would be that partner?" "Emma, I know I don't deserve it," he said quickly, leaning forward. "But I've changed. I've learned from my mistakes. If you give me a chance, I can prove it to you." For a moment, Emma said nothing, letting his words hang in the air. Then she leaned forward, her voice icy. "You want me to bail you out? After you stole my inheritance and left me with nothing, you think you can just waltz back into my life and ask for my help?" "It's not like that," Mark protested. "This isn't charity, it's a partnership. 50-50. We could rebuild something together." Emma laughed, a sharp, bitter sound. "You really think I need you? Look around, Mark. Everything you see here I built on my own. Without you." His face fell, the weight of her words sinking in. "I know," he said quietly. "But I also know you're a good person. Better than me. That's why I came to you." Her smile faded, replaced by a cold, steely gaze. "You're right about one thing, Mark. I'm a good person. But that doesn't mean I'm a fool." The meeting ended with Mark leaving empty-handed. His shoulders slumped in defeat. Emma watched him go, a sense of satisfaction mingling with the faintest trace of pity. She had always prided herself on her resilience, but seeing Mark reduced to this was a stark reminder of how far she had come. In the weeks that followed, Emma threw herself into her work, preparing for the launch of her latest collection. The flagship store was set to open in a prime location downtown, and the buzz surrounding Eve Davenport had reached a fever pitch. Invitations to the launch event were in high demand, with A-list celebrities and industry heavyweights clamoring for a glimpse of her newest designs. But Mark's reappearance lingered in the back of her mind. She had moved on from the pain he caused her, but his audacity still astounded her. Part of her wondered if she had been too harsh, but another part, the stronger, wiser part, knew she owed him nothing. On the night of the launch, Emma stood in the center of her flagship store, greeting guests with a radiant smile. The space was a reflection of her brand, elegant, sophisticated, and timeless. Chandeliers cast a warm glow over displays of her jewelry, each piece a testament to her artistry and determination. As the evening wore on, Emma mingled with guests, answering questions about her inspiration and plans for the future. She was in her element, the center of attention in a room full of admirers. Then she saw him. Mark stood near the back of the room, dressed in a suit that was a shade too flashy for the occasion. He looked out of place among the polished crowd, his discomfort evident. Emma's initial instinct was to ignore him, but as their eyes met, she realized he wasn't alone. Beside him stood Samuel Worthington, a prominent investor Emma had been courting for months. Worthington owned a chain of high-end boutiques and was known for his keen eye for emerging talent. Seeing him with Mark sent a ripple of unease through Emma. What was Mark up to? As the night wore on, Emma kept her distance, watching as Mark worked his way through the crowd, chatting with guests and introducing himself to anyone who would listen. It was clear he was trying to position himself as someone important, but the sight only fueled her resolve. When Worthington approached her later in the evening, Emma greeted him warmly, determined not to let Mark ruin her night. "Mr. Worthington, I'm so glad you could make it. Have you had a chance to see the collection?" "It's impressive," Worthington said, his tone genuine. "You've built something remarkable, Emma. I can see why everyone's talking about you." "Thank you," she said with a smile. "I've poured my heart into this. By the way," Worthington added, "I met someone earlier who said he used to work with you. Mark, I believe his name was." Emma's smile didn't waver. "Yes, we have a history," she said smoothly. "But I'm afraid he overstates his importance." Worthington chuckled. "I had a feeling. He seems eager, but not particularly credible." Emma's eyes sparkled with amusement. "You have a good instinct, Mr. Worthington." As they continued talking, Emma felt a sense of vindication. Mark's attempts to infiltrate her world had failed, and she had emerged unscathed. But she knew this wasn't the last she would see of him. The weeks following the launch of Emma's flagship store were a whirlwind of success. Orders surged, media coverage flourished, and Eve Davenport became a household name in luxury jewelry. Emma reveled in her achievements, but Mark's reappearance, and his desperate attempts to integrate himself into her world, remained a thorn in her side. Emma's assistant, Julia, entered her office one afternoon, a mix of curiosity and concern on her face. "Emma, you won't believe who's been calling the office non-stop." "Let me guess," Emma replied dryly. "Mark." Julia nodded. "He left another message. This time he's asking for a private meeting. He says it's urgent." Emma sighed, her patience wearing thin. She had hoped their last encounter at the launch event would have been the end of it, but clearly Mark wasn't letting go. "Fine," she said finally. "Set it up. Let's get this over with." Mark arrived at her office the following day, visibly more disheveled than the last time she'd seen him. His once pristine charm now seemed threadbare, like a mask that had been worn too often and was starting to crack. "Emma," he began, his voice carrying an edge of desperation. "Thank you for seeing me. I know I don't deserve your time, but I need to talk to you." Emma gestured for him to sit, her demeanor cool and detached. "What do you want, Mark?" He hesitated, clasping his hands tightly together as if holding himself in place. "I'm in trouble. Serious trouble. A deal I was working on fell through, and now I owe money. More than I can pay back." Emma raised an eyebrow. "And you thought I would bail you out?" "No," he said quickly. "Not like that. I thought maybe we could work something out. A business partnership like I suggested before. I have ideas, Emma. Good ideas. I just need someone to believe in me." She studied him for a moment, her expression unreadable. "You want me to save you? After everything you did to me, you think I owe you that?" "It's not about owing," Mark said, his voice cracking. "It's about giving me a chance to prove I'm better than the man I was." Emma leaned forward, her eyes piercing. "Let me tell you something, Mark. When you left me, I didn't just lose my inheritance. I lost my trust in people, my belief in myself. I spent years rebuilding what you tore apart. And I did it without your help. So don't come here now, asking me to fix the mess you've made of your life." Mark's shoulders slumped, but he wasn't done. "Please, Emma. I know I've burned bridges, but you were always the one person who saw the good in me. If you don't help me, I don't know what I'll do." A flicker of an idea sparked in Emma's mind. It was bold, even ruthless, but it felt right. "All right," she said finally. "I'll consider helping you. But there are conditions." Mark's face lit up with a glimmer of hope. "Anything. Name it." "You'll work for me," Emma said, her tone icy. "Not as a partner, not as an equal. As an entry-level employee. You'll earn minimum wage, take orders from my team, and prove you're capable of contributing something of value." Mark blinked, stunned. "You're serious?" "Deadly serious," she replied. "If you want my help, you'll start at the bottom. No shortcuts, no favors." He hesitated, clearly grappling with his pride. But desperation won out. "Okay," he said finally. "I'll do it." Mark's first day at Ebe Davenport was a humbling experience. Stripped of his once dominant role, he was now just another employee, running errands, organizing inventory, and shadowing senior staff. Emma made no effort to hide her scrutiny, watching closely as he navigated his new reality. First, Mark struggled. He fumbled with tasks, bristled at criticism, and occasionally let his frustration show. But over time something shifted. He began to approach his work with humility, learning from his mistakes and showing genuine effort. Emma wasn't quick to forgive, but she couldn't deny the changes she saw in him. Whether it was genuine growth or simply a reflection of his dire circumstances, Mark was proving he could adapt. Months later, Emma hosted a charity gala to celebrate the expansion of her business into international markets. The event was her largest yet, drawing celebrities, influencers, and industry leaders from around the world. Mark, still an employee, worked behind the scenes, coordinating logistics and ensuring everything ran smoothly. Toward the end of the evening, Emma took the stage to deliver a speech. She spoke about her journey, the challenges she had faced, and the importance of resilience in the face of adversity. As she concluded her remarks, she turned her attention to the audience. "There's one more thing I'd like to say," she began, her voice steady. "Everything I've achieved, I owe to the lessons I've learned along the way. And one of the most important lessons is this: success is the best revenge. The room erupted in applause, the words resonating deeply with many of her guests. In the back of the room, Mark stood frozen, her message hitting him like a punch to the gut. He knew she was speaking about him, about the betrayal that had once defined their relationship. And yet, he couldn't help but feel a sense of admiration for the woman she had become. As the gala wound down, Emma found Mark lingering near the exit. He approached her hesitantly, his expression a mix of gratitude and regret. "Emma," he said quietly, "I just wanted to say thank you for giving me a chance, even when I didn't deserve one. You didn't have to, but you did. And I'll never forget it." Emma studied him for a long moment, her expression softening slightly. "You're right, Mark. I didn't have to. But maybe I wanted to see if you were capable of change. And you've shown me that you are." He nodded, emotion welling in his eyes. "I'll keep proving it, Emma. I swear." With that, she turned and walked away, her heels clicking against the marble floor. She didn't look back. As Emma left the gala, she felt a sense of closure she hadn't anticipated. Mark's reappearance had forced her to confront the pain of her past, but it had also reaffirmed her strength and resilience. She was no longer the woman he had betrayed. She was a survivor, a creator, and a force to be reckoned with. Her journey wasn't defined by the diamonds Mark had tried to take. It was defined by the diamond she had become. Dear viewers, thank you for watching. If you like this story, please subscribe to our channel to receive more stories every day. Share with us what you think of this story.